Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, I have decided to be merciful and save you from having to look at my face. That's right, there's no Mordicam today. And that is because we shall be going over the results from Kriegsmas, one of the largest painting events that I have run with the MG community. Hundreds of players, thousands of models, and uncountable hours of hobbying time has gone into this event. There have been heady heights, there have been terrible lows, there have been great victories, and there have been tragic losses. But we have finally got to the final result. We have finally got to the end, and now it's time for us to see who will reign supreme in this painting event. And so without further ado, let's not mess around any further. Let's grab our paintbrushes and dive right into this thing. So first things first, let me give you a very brief overview of what the hell Kriegsmas even is. Because I know what some of you are thinking. You're like, Mordian, it's goddamn April. How the hell are you still talking about Christmas? Well, Kriegsmas was an event that we started in December, and it's one that we run every Christmas time, and it lasts over the course of December and then a couple of months afterwards. But we actually extended the event by a month this time as like a special thing to do because of the release of the Guard and also Empire and also Armies of Germany book. So there were loads of releases coming out, loads of people wanted to paint additional hobby projects and stuff, and there's lots of motivation and hype. So I thought, you know what, screw it, rather than a 3-month event, let's do a 4-month event. So that's why we're talking about Christmas/Kriegsmas in April. Now, how it all works is anyone can join the event as long as you're in the Mordian Glory Discord. So whether you've got a gifted membership from joining a live stream, you're a member off your own back, you're a Patreon, Twitch sub, any of that kind of stuff, if you're in the MG Discord, you can take part in this event. Each player just needs to pick one of the preset teams. These are teams that are just set up around some of the old school regiments like Mordians, and you've got Cadians and Kriegers and whatnot. The teams don't dictate what models you can paint or anything like that. They're literally just there for a bit of fun and to have a bit of structure. So you can paint a whole bunch of Catachans up for the Cadian team if you really want to. And in fact, we don't even limit the event to 40k models. So if you're interested in Old World, but actually even Age of Sigmar, we've had people painting up terrain and stuff. We're pretty flexible with it. The whole point of the event is to motivate people to paint. So we tend to allow most things to go, and if there's something that's the points aren't quite comparable, it looks like it might give one team a bit of an unfair advantage, they paint up this like one model for this one game system that somehow is worth like 10,000 points. We tend to rein things in a little bit like that, but generally speaking, if you've got minis to paint and you want to do it as part of a cool event, then you're welcome to join. In terms of how the scoring is done, it's pretty straightforward. The models' in-game points values are used to score points in this game. So, for example, if you paint up a squad of guardsmen, which at the time of recording are worth 65 points, then you would score your team 65 points. If you painted yourself up a Rogel Dawn, which at the time of recording is worth 240 points, you would earn your team 240 points. There are a few other mechanics involved. For example, with the way you actually submit your vowels, as it were, you have to take a picture of the models before they're painted, and then you have to take a picture of the models after you've painted them. You can't submit models that are already partly painted or anything like that, just to keep it fair, so you don't have someone who's got like one little lens to do on a model and then go beep, done that, oh look, I've just got like 100 points or something. So there's a whole bunch of stuff like that, but generally speaking, each player can make up to 7 vowels. Those vowels can be up to 5,000 points each, so each player could vow up to 35,000 points worth of models over the course of the event. That's not a goal to reach, and I'm not sure anyone single-handedly reached 35,000 points, but that would generally be the maximum that each player could vow. Most people will vow a couple of 100 points, or like 1,000 points at a time. There is also a mechanic in place for what happens if you fail. So if you pledge that you are going to paint something, if you make a solemn vow in front of the Emperor or the Dark Gods or whatever thing you might be dedicating this painting effort to, if you then fail it, there's a forfeit. There's something called being an Oathbreaker. And as an added little bit of spice, we have introduced a extra mechanic, an extra theme around what will happen with Oathbreakers post this event. And I'm going to save that till the end of the video because I think it's going to be quite nice, quite spicy. But with all of that said, now let's get into the video proper and we'll look at the results. We'll start off with how much each team painted and what their completion rate was. And then at the end, we'll take a look at the totals, how many infantry, tanks, super heavies and titans, and what was the overall points that were vowed and painted as part of this event. So coming in last place, we have got the Scholar Progenium. It is the Stormtroopers, the Tempestus Scion team. And they started off very strong. They overall vowed 9,154 points. And if they had completed all of those points, they would have actually finished at a fairly good middle position in the leaderboard. But of those 9,154 points that they vowed, they only completed 1,065. Oh my god, it was a massacre. Oh. I don't know if it was coincidence that Bridgehead also got nerfed into the ground. And maybe that's why the Stormtrooper team lost all of their demotivation. Because, of course, when this event started, Bridgehead was announced and everyone was really hyped up for it. And then it's been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. And now people don't use it. I don't know. Maybe there was something to it. But the Stormtroopers are now bridge dead. In fact, out of the 5 players that made up the Stormtrooper team, only 2 of them completed their vows. So a big shout out to Yerton and Guardsman Brandon. Well done for holding the line, keeping your heads up, and doing what you could to score some points for the Stormtrooper team. Side note, outside of a team getting 0%, which can occasionally happen if they don't get many people who sign up for it, that is the lowest active completion rate that we have ever had in like 3 years of doing this. 11.63%. My god, shame, shame, shame. Many Stormtroopers will be heading to the Penial Legions after this. Next up, we had the Vestroyan team. The Vestroyan team is a small team within the Mordian Glory community, yet a fairly mighty one, and normally does perform pretty well. This time, they vowed 6,277 points, which is genuinely very good for them. Unfortunately, they only had a 48% completion rate with only 3,052 points painted. To be fair to the Vestroyan team, getting about 3,000 points painted is pretty normal for them. That's their sort of comfortable zone. And they normally paint about 3,000 points, 4,000 points, and have a 100% completion rate. So what this says to me is they pushed themselves, they stretched themselves, they tried to go a bit further this time, and it didn't quite pay off. But it's great to see people in the team at least reaching for the stars and push themselves a little bit further. So no shame on the Stormtrooper team. And in fact, even though they had what looks like quite a low completion rate, it was actually only 2 players failing their vows. The remaining 4 players in the Vestroyan team actually completed all of the vows. So it was just a couple of big vows that just didn't quite get across the line, but overall a decent effort from the Vestroyans. Big shout out to Base Tremble, Baron Kaza, Reaple Cheap and Excelsior for completing their Vestroyan vows. Third from bottom, we have another small yet mighty team, the Talan Desert Raiders. Similar to the Vestroyans, these guys are one of the smaller teams, but more dedicated teams in the MG community. And they vowed 4,699 points, and they completed 3,106, giving them a 66% completion rate. If you look at these results, it's kind of interesting to see that the Vestroyans and the Stormtroopers both vowed more than the Talan. In fact, the Talan had the smallest total points that were promised. But because the Talan actually followed through on the majority of their vows, they ended up finishing higher up. One of the interesting things about these painting events is a team can look like they're really, really far ahead, but if they don't actually complete their vows, it doesn't mean anything. And so points vowed is very much secondary to points completed. But when the event is running, you're not sure how things are gonna, how the chips are gonna fall. In this case, the Talon, they stuck to it. They got over 3,000 points painted, and they were able to beat out the Destroyers and the Stormtroopers. So well done to them. Shout out to Sir Beardhaver, Uncle Buck, Jay Bird, Joshua Crosby, and Nick Schaefer for completing all of their vows. And in fact, it was only one player on the Talon team that didn't quite manage to get things done. It's again kind of crazy to see that some of these bigger vows that were made just not quite making it through, but then them having such a big impact on the completion rate. But again, there's no shade being thrown here, because you should always try and push yourself, and doing a big vow and it not quite paying off is in many ways more admirable than doing a small vow which was easy to achieve. So even though Orc Boy Phil did not quite manage his vow, he did do a real big one. It just didn't quite pay off. But now we get to clearly the best team in the entire competition, and obviously my personal favorite, although I was not part of this team this time, so maybe there's some shade to be thrown at me. The Mordian Iron Guard. And in true Mordian efficiency and discipline, 6,819 points were vowed and 6,819 points were completed. A 100% completion rate. I would expect nothing less from the greatest regiment in his Imperial Guard. The Mordians are the Emperor's true finest. A huge shout out to Mark of Talabakland, Bremer 1701, Ibram Gaunt, Mr. Treff, Lord Holt, and Alex. They all completed their vows, and many of those vows were pretty big. We've got an over 1,000 point vow from Bremer, and a couple of vows that were over 1,000 points from Ibram. Excellent work, lads. Thank you for doing the Iron Guard proud in my absence. Making it into the top 10, we have got the Valhallan Ice Warrior team. The Valhallan team has been on a bit of a journey over the last few painting events. They started out as a relatively small team in the leagues of the Talon and the Destroyers, but have slowly yet surely, glacially one might say, grown and continued to do fantastic work. There were a few shaky completion rates in the past, but that is not the case this time. 10,939 points were vowed. That's a 5 digits of vowed points, and they nearly got them all. 9,894 points were completed, giving them a 90% completion rate. Very admirable, very impressive, and the Valhallan team, I feel like it's a sleeping giant. Every event, they get more people. Every event, they score more points. Every event, they do a little bit better. They climb that leaderboard a little bit more. The Valhallan team is definitely one to watch. Big shout out to JP, Nick the Salamander, Masculine Skeleton, Wax, Ickbard, and Woody for completing all of their vows. And I do want to do a very much community highlight onto JP, who completed a 2,000 point vow, a 1,920 point vow, and a 1,690 point vow. That is well over 5,000 points completed. Excellent effort, and loads of it, I think all of it was actually Imperial Guard. So he wasn't bulking out with any bolt action or Old World. It was all Guard all the way, and it was painted to a very good standard as well. The next team on the leaderboard is a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. It is the Elysians. Now, I've been running these painting events for a few years now, and there have been a few times when the Elysian team didn't get anybody to sign up to them. Just there was no one there. It's understandable. They are a regiment which has been essentially killed off by Games Workshop. I know many of the other ones have as well, but with them being a Forge World regiment, they're the niche of a niche of a niche. And the fact that the Elysian team has gone from going an event here, an event there, more than once, with 0 people signing up to it, and now they have not only got people on their team, but they vowed 10,200 10 points, and they completed 10,210 points for a 100% completion rate. The Elysians are not going silently into the night. They are not going out without a fight. An incredible effort from this team, and truly a bolt from the blue. Massive, massive thank you and a well done to Nerf Canthos, Epic Muley, Turtle10, Vor Did Nothing Wrong, Snaxolotl, and DG Painting. You guys have truly been a credit to your regiment, and you have truly, like a phoenix from the flame, put the Elysians on the map and brought them back from the dead. Excellent work, lads. Now, all of the teams that we've talked about up until this point have been the traditionally smaller ones. Although, as you can see, many of them are starting to really punch well above their weight. But you're going to start noticing a drastic increase in the points here. This is where we start getting to the big teams, the big leagues. Every single one of the teams that we're going to look at so far has been in contention for winning an event in the past, if not having won an event in the past, and some of them are truly heavy hitters. Starting off, we have the GSC, the Genestealer Cult. The Genestealer Cult team has grown exponentially over the years. When we first started, they had 2 people sign up, and I think those 2 people did like 3 or 4 vows between them. A good effort, but that was about it. They vowed 16,920 points, and they were able to complete 12,730 points. The GSC infestation grows, and it goes from strength to strength. And if you'd asked me a couple of years ago if I ever expected the Genestealer Cult team to be any guard regiments, let alone getting into the top 8, I would have said you were mad. Massive shout out to Hinty, Matthew Sinclair, Nexus Wolfgang, the Rainbow Carnifex, and Tweedlebum for absolutely smashing it and bringing forth the Day of Ascension. Coming in 6th place, just outside the top 5, we have got the Cadians. A surprise to be sure, and an unwelcome one. The Cadian team is usually one of the big hitters. They have won events before, and they are normally the natural rival of the Death Court of Krieg. But unfortunately this time they seem to be suffering a horrendous attrition rate. They vowed 29,405 points. If they had completed every single one of those, it would have got them onto the podium. But unfortunately, apparently returning to Cadia is costing us a lot of manpower. They only had a 64% completion rate. 19,040 points were done before the deadline. Interestingly, looking at the Cadian team, the only people that failed their vows were people that made an initial first vow and then never completed it. Most of the Cadian team who made more, in fact all the people on the Cadian team that made more than one vow completed every single one of those vows, and many of them actually completed 4 or 5 vows as well. So it seems like on the Cadian team perhaps we had a few new recruits, maybe a few conscripts, a few white shields, a few people from the youth platoons, the youth battalions that hit the ground running. Big shout out to Stormvermin Alpha. First vow, 5,000 points, reached the absolute limit, didn't complete it. Some of them now maybe running before you can walk, or at least trying to. We've got other ones here, 2,800 point vow, which wasn't completed, 1,400 point vow, which wasn't completed. So I suspect that maybe there were a few people whose painting stomachs were smaller than their eyes, should we say? Or their eyes, painting eyes are bigger than stomachs, however you want to say it. But a lot of good effort was made, and many Cadian players doing multiple vows. Shout out to Solarius, Major Problems, Sergeant Lot 10, Agent Hubby, Freeform Rue, Chapter Master Tauntaun, Amblock 14, Lord Kesky, Anthony Williams, Lyson K, Grayscale Peacock, Zaladin, the Red Scout, EDB3397, Changog, and Karnes Castelia, for all of them completing their vows, and many of them being big vows as well. Excellent effort, you Cadian bastards. But if the Cadians have fallen, Then the Renegades and Heretics team is in ascendancy. I feel the warp overtaking me. It is a good pain. The Forces of Chaos vowed 21,084 points and they completed 20,299, giving them a 96.28% completion rate. Again, look at that. The Cadians actually had more vowed than the Heretics, but because the Heretics were able to complete more of their vows, they ended up coming in a higher spot. And looking at these vows from the Heretics, it is no surprise that they have done very well. They've actually got a lot of people on their team, 17 in total. That, I think, might actually be more than the Cadians. No, not quite. The Cadians do have 22. So the Cadians actually had more people, but the Heretics clearly had the more dedicated army of players. A fantastic well done to Scott the Bot, Veles, Doc Ginger, Swordsmith 87, General Gears, Harry Yates, Delen, Emil Davy, Weed Ghost, Narrow, Zim Sorcerer, Maximilian, Shannon, and I believe the unofficial captain of the Heretic team at this point, Uet Magia Chansey, for their dedication to the Dark Gods, for completing their vows, and most importantly, for bringing those corpse worshippers of the false emperor to their knees. Now, when I saw the points for this next team, I had to do a double take, because this is a resurgence to rival that of the Elysians. This was a very, very impressive step up, and I just want to say a bloody fantastic well done to the Steel Legion team, the true gas mask boys. I'm sorry, Krieg team, I'm sorry, but the Steel Legion has my heart. The Steel Legion boys coming in with a whopping 24,996 points, basically 25,000 points valid, and completing 22,431. My God. 89.74% win rate, basically a 90% win rate, or completion rate, I should say, and just out of nowhere. Honestly, normally the Steel Legion team, we're talking they're in the same league, same ballpark as the Destroyers and the Talan. You know, they're down that end. They sort of put 4,000 to 6,000 points together. And it's kind of interesting how the teams almost sort themselves out into sort of the major league and the minor league. So like you've got those teams that sort of consistently get around 10,000 or below points. You've got those teams that get around 15,000 plus points. And normally the Steel Legion are one of the furious contenders to kind of win the minor league, to try and be the best out of those smaller yet dedicated hardcore teams. And this time they blitzkrieged it, boys. That's it. they matted up, they rolled out, they smashed through, and they said, GW, you might not be giving us Yark back. GW, you might not be letting us feature in our own bloody campaign book. I mean, Jesus Christ, what were they thinking? But Steel Legion team will not go quietly into the night. They will not go out without a fight. They're going to fight on. Perhaps it's the fate that it's the 4th of July. It's 2nd of April. But at time of recording anyway. 1st of April actually at the time of recording. But Steel Legion team, holy moly. I am blown away. Genuinely blown away. A massive surge in the number of people on this team, with a total of 12 taking part. I mean, this is a team that normally gets like 2 or 3. So 12 people, like 400% increase at least in the participants. And a massive shout out to Marald, Eldon Lean, Scribbles, MCTA 20D. And we've also got Wangum, Rockin' Matty P, Amasek and Coke, Black Meowder, and Aaron the Support, and Joe S. Big well done to all of you guys for completing your vows. And a shout out to Harry Lane, who actually did complete 2 vows, and he pushed for the burn. He went for that 3rd one, but unfortunately he just couldn't quite get it done in time. But hey, always best to lose ambitiously than to win meekly. So Harry Lane, very well done there, mate. Shame didn't quite get it across the line, but can never be angry with someone who actually got a stomper done. Do you know what I mean? So well done to the Steel Legion team. I will definitely be watching you guys, and honestly, I'm tempted to join the Steel Legion next time. Those of you who know this channel know that I'm a Met Guard commander at heart. I have a massive Steel Legion army. maybe Steel Legion calls to me for the next event. But we now get to the top 3. The podium. And coming in 3rd place is a brand new team. Never before seen on the Mordian Glory channel. It is the Penial Legion. That's right. We created a whole new team for this event, and it was a bit of a funny one, actually. So how it all came about was when we kicked off Kriegsmas, I was doing a live stream, and there were a couple of people that really wanted me on a particular team. Shout out to Cosmic and to Mad Larkin and everyone else in the Penial Legion as well. And some lobbying started, some Death Strike chats were launched, and it ended up being like an insane moment. Oh my days. Huge thank you for the generosity. Of course. Let's not forget that. But it did create a bit of a dilemma, because when you've had people who have been very, very generous and done big super chats, you don't want to let one down or the other. So what I did as a compromise, which actually all the Penial Legion people really enjoyed, Mad Larkin and Cosmic, who were the ones that were nuking it out, I said, let's make a new team, the Penial Legion. And in that one stream, when people were maybe very much jokingly, tongue-in-cheek, acting out or saying heretical things, I would add them to the Penial Legion. And so it was kind of an invite-only team. It was this one time it was invite-only. It was actually a private team. You could only access the Penial Legion channel if I had given you the role. We made it kind of special, because it should have been special, because it came about in a very special and incredible and generous way. So the Penial Legion team consisted of Mad Larkin, Jake Moore, Rex, Squidfist, Cosmic, myself, Tiki, and Evan. And we had some real heavy hitters in that team. I mean, looking through the vows now, nobody vowed less than 1,500 points overall. And I think nearly every single person was doing vows that were over 1,000 points. I mean, to give you an example, Jake Moore came in with a 3,040 point vow. Rex came in with a 2,600 point vow. Myself, my largest vow was 2,200 points. And then we had Tiki with 1,800 points of bolt action. Evan coming in with 1,200 points of Necron. So there was only 8 people on the team, but we were able to vow 26,066 points, and we completed 24,056 points, giving us a 92.29% win rate. So there were some very, very much heavy hitters in the Penial Legion. Now, if you like the idea of being part of the meme team, which it very much was the meme team, we had lots of references to Andor being thrown around. When anyone ever completed a vow, someone would post the GIF underneath, on program, and all that kind of stuff. So it was a close-knit meme team, lots of camaraderie going on. If you like the idea of that, don't worry. I will explain at the end. The Penial Legion is going to have a special role in painting events going forward, and it will be open to everyone. It was just a closed team this time, because we sort of did it ad hoc almost. It was just sort of done off the cuff, born organically out of what happened on that live stream. But we've had a bit of a think, I've had some thoughts, and I've got some plans for how to integrate it into the wider painting community, and I think you guys are going to love it. So stay tuned to the end and you can find out what we're doing with the Penial Legion. Fortunately, you won't have to wait too long. We've just got 2 more teams to go over. We have got coming in 2nd place, the Masters of the Jungle. It is the Catachan Jungle Fighters. 29,122 points were vowed. 26,739 points were completed for a 91.82% completion rate. Absolutely incredible. The Catachan team always punches very, very hard. I mean, appropriately, I suppose, but they're not one of the larger teams. In fact, there are teams out there which score much less points, which have got more people than them. In fact, the Catachan team this time only had 12 people on it, but those 12 people were vowing like absolute madmen. Shout out to Rapture Later, Robert B, Alexu, Joseph Wrigley, Hammer 1349. This guy always goes above and beyond in these painting events. Massive highlight to him. Crucible 76 as well, coming in with a 5,000 point vow of all Eldar, well, nearly all Eldar. There's some Cadian shock troops thrown in there as well. We had Lee WW, who unfortunately, after a fantastic start at 1,500 points, didn't quite manage to get his second vow done. Capusa did well, and Hunter 404. My God, Hunter 404 with 6 vows completed and thousands of points done. Everything from chaos to guard to bolt action to sisters to space marines. Just an eclectic smorgasbord of models and game systems vowed, all of which were completed and all of which were done to an incredible standard as well. Big shout out to Hunter 404, another heavy hitter of the Catachan teams. But excellent work to the Catachans. They have won events before. They have always been in contention for the podium. They often sneak a win. Very, very good effort, boys. They have not let the side down. They've continued to uphold their fearsome reputation in these events. But there can only be one winner. And I suppose, rather predictably and appropriately, the winners of Kriegsmas for the second year in a row was the Death Corps of Krieg. A whopping 49,159 points vowed. That is 20,000 points more vowed than the next nearest team. Now, in traditional Krieg style, they did have a horrendous attrition rate, only completing 78% of all of that, coming in with 38,445 points completed. But that's their game plan, baby. That's what the Kriegers do. They come in with these huge vows, dozens and dozens of players. Many of them fall crossing no man's land. Many of them don't make it to the end. Many large vows at the very end, maybe it's like a third vow, a fourth vow, is failed. But there is an unreal amount of effort there, and it's frankly a gigantic team with 45 people on it. And like I said, it makes sense. People are going to want to sign up for the Krieg team as part of Kriegsmas. Of course. It is very much their event, but there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's nice to have something like that. And so a deserved win to the Kriegers. And if they ever don't win the event, it would be a terrible shame for them. I think I might put them all on Oathbreakers if they fail to win it. Lord Prayer, Tech Priest Gabriel, It's Me Marco, Matty814, Master Orion, Tom's the Q, Jimmy Hill UK, Lord of Shovels, Ash, Samuel Phoenix, Grog the Big, Cyber Shorty, Emil Ronlev, Stoic Angel, Otto the Confused, Giles, Wyatt Tyson, Aslan, A. Cameron, Ripath, Christian, Mep, Komninos, No Cone, Lieutenant E. Grimmer 134. We've also got Ix and we've got Doc Watt. Well done to all of you guys for not only being part of the winning team, but also contributing to that victory with your successfully completed vows. But what about all of those people which failed to complete their vows? What about the Oathbreakers? Well, this is where the Penal Legion comes in. It might have been a crazy private team this time, but I don't like the idea of private teams because I don't want there to be some false sense of elitism. I don't want to be wanky, you know? So the Penal Legion is going to be opened up as a normal team for the painting event. Anybody will be able to join it. But if you failed to complete your vows for your chosen team, then you will be given the brand of the Oathbreaker. That will be added to your profile when you're in the Mordian Glory Discord. And the only way to get rid of that brand will be to do a stint in the Penal Legion, whether it's part of the next Kriegsmas event or the TTC, the Troop in the Colour, which is our summer painting event. The only way you'll be able to get rid of that brand is if you do a tour of duty in the Penal Legion. Now, I want to make something abundantly clear. We're not forcing people to join the Penal Legion. It's very much a voluntary thing. If you like being in the Catachan team, but life just got in the way this time and you weren't able to complete your vows, that's fine. You can just join the Catachan team again next time. But you'll just have this mark of Oathbreakers. It's only a little badge. It's only a little thing. It doesn't really mean anything. Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit of fun. But if you want to get rid of that, then you can join the Penal Legion. So it'll be an open team. People can join it as normal, but there'll be this fun little mechanic where if you have an Oathbreaker badge, you can only get rid of it. It'll stay on your profile permanently. You can only get rid of it if you do a tour of redemption with the Penal Legion. And knowing this community of absolute degenerates and reprobates, I suspect many people will see the Oathbreaker badge as a mark of honor, a badge of honor, and you're going to get people that are going to be institutionalized, like, I want to stay in the Penal Legion, I want to stay. You can do, you can join it voluntarily, but I know what you guys are like, and I know the memes that this channel and this community loves, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Penal Legion ends up becoming a surprisingly potent force in the MG painting competitions. Now, before we wrap this bad boy up, I know that you guys would like to know how much stuff was painted overall, what was the completion rate, and what kind of models were painted up. Well, in total, there were 244,850 points of models vowed, and completed was 197,886 for an 80.82% completion rate. So nearly 200,000 points worth of models were completed in 4 months. Wowzers trousers. This was done by over 160 participating players across all the teams. Massive thank you and a well done to all of you guys that got involved, whether you completed your vows or not. Couldn't do these painting events without people getting involved in them, and this was definitely one of the largest ones that we have ever done. And now we get to my favorite bit, the breakdown of models that were painted. Now, these are as accurate as we can get them, although there are some approximations and estimations. So, for example, field ordnance batteries are artillery, but they fall under the infantry category. We tend to count those as sort of 3 or 4 models because of the infantry on the base. This is a rough count, but over the 4 months that this event ran for, the MG community painted 4,693 infantry models. Wow, a staggering amount. And they painted 440 tanks. That's everything from sentinel-sized vehicles, up to Rogel Dawns. The team that painted the most tanks was actually the Cadians? Was the Cadians. Cadians painted 109 tanks. And it was the Krieg that painted the most infantry with 956 roughly. And you could easily round that up to about 1,000. As for super heavies, this is knights, big knights, not warglaves. Knights and Baneblades, the community painted 35, with the Kriegers painting the most, painting 10 super heavy vehicles. And finally, we've got the Titans, and there were 2 Titans painted as part of this event, 1 for the Cadian team and 1 for the Krieg team. And I think it is worth giving those Titan Princeps a shout out. So a phenomenal effort from Solarius on the Cadian team for painting a Warhound Titan, and to Jimmy Hill UK on the Krieg team, who painted a Warlord Titan. I think that might be the biggest model we've ever had vowed and painted as part of these competitions. But that just about wraps it all up. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Now, our next painting event is going to be taking place this summer, around June, July time. We tend to give 2 to 3 months break between painting competitions to give people a chance to recover, and that will be Trooping the Colour. Once again, you can vow anything for that, whether it's Imperial Guard, Space Marines, Warhammer 40k, Old World Bot Action. We have a number of approved game systems, and even if it's not an approved game system, we have counts as rules and everything. So if you've got a pile of shame and you want to get it sorted out, please consider joining the events. They are the best motivation that you can have. And I'm not just saying that because it's my event. Many people will back me up on that down in the comment section. And if you do want to get involved, then don't forget you do need to be a channel member, a Patreon, or a Twitch sub. But you can, if you don't want to be a paying member for whatever reason, maybe, you know, everyone's financial situation is different. I understand that and I respect it. Or maybe you're not sure and you want to try before you buy kind of thing. Then don't forget you can get free channel memberships if you join the live streams. Gifted memberships are often handed out by our very generous community. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can become a Twitch sub, a Twitch subscriber, which is a bit different to a YouTube subscriber. That's like the paid version. That's like becoming a channel member, the equivalent on Twitch. You become a Twitch member essentially for the low price of free. If you have Amazon Prime, you get what's called a Prime sub, and you can sub that, and that supports the channel. You get Bezos bucks, and you guys can join the community and join the painting event. So there you go. A massive shout out to all of those channel members that do support in the Discord, and of course that take part in this event. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.